Today. Going over to the Culture Proud podcast, you have Doritos hiring a trans brand ambassador who apparently also admitted being attracted towards children inappropriately. Will this help their sales in any way? Well, in some cities, unfortunately, probably yes. Now, this was first reported by End Wokeness on X Twitter, and Ed Wokeness, it looks like there's a clip of this individual as well. Ed Wokeness says, quote, Doritos just picked Samantha Hudson as a brand ambassador in Spain. Samantha Hudson, admitted to being a pedo, identifies as a non-binary trans girl, openly mocked victims of child abuse, an advocate for quote, annihilating, completely destroying, and abolishing the traditional family, unquote. And this is the person that PepsiCo, which is the owner of Frito-Lay, which Frito-Lay is basically 65% of every salty snack you see in the salty snack aisle is owned by PepsiCo Frito-Lay. And even if you look at the back of it, even if it doesn't say PepsiCo, Google the address that they show for the corporate address. More often than not, it's going to be in Plano, Frisco, Texas area. And then you just do a quick Brave or Google search, go, oh yeah, that is yet another thing owned by this company. Now, this went very viral within the first day, getting 6.1 million views and 32,000 likes. It looks like there's a little clip of this individual. Let me see if I can play it really quick here. Oh, it is in Spanish. I actually should know of it considering my family's from Cuba, but no fácil. Oh, so that was a commercial. That was a commercial? So it was a biological man with long orange hair, and I forgot. It's not a tank top, but it's the dress that looks like a tank top. And is it really just this person saying a couple words? Ser perfecta no es fácil. Ser perfecta no es fácil. Pero te acabas acostumbrando. So it looks like Doritos is sponsoring something called Crunch Talks.
No sé nada de eso.
And then this individual must work out. This individual has biceps. Let's see here. Very distinct jawline. Now, granted, I've only understood one or two words to these, but they were roasted to say the least. Perhaps roasted worse than one of the Dorito chips, which gets burnt every once in a while. I wouldn't know. I haven't bought it in decades because I have a little bit of a health nut myself. But again, apparently, everyone's claiming, well, this tweet, when talking about the children stuff, allegedly this tweet was from 10 plus years ago. Maybe it was a joke. They also have pictures of this individual. I guess their fashion is background, perhaps. And it looks like, yeah, maybe a fashion background. You see this individual wearing those very bizarre fashion trends, which I can't even describe. The mini tank top, which I thought gals did that in the 80s or 90s. But nevertheless, it went viral to say the least. And will this increase their sales? Again, this is currently only running in Spain. Now, the caveat is, if you look at a lot of business, political, and cultural trends, a lot of them origin outside the United States. One of the biggest things being child transitioning. One of the biggest places where it originated from, or especially when it comes to that, as well as decreasing free speech, as well as taking children away when the parents refuse to transition them. Those all started, or many of them started in Canada. Then migrated to California, became all there. Then it's migrating across the United States. So culturally speaking, these things come in waves, and it's definitely a global phenomenon. So if this is happening in Spain now, do they think this will be a way to boost their sales in Canada than in California? I mean, this will certainly increase the sales with people who agree with this spokesperson. But again, with the United States' current demographics and the current shopping trends and people living here, I can't help but think this is going to alienate, as this has many ways become a political issue, probably about half the people on average. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the comments are all going to roast and woke and say, no, we agree with this. We think this individual is brilliant and handsome. Well, no, that's me. But nevertheless, let's go in the comments and find out. Now, Paul Zazupa says, quote, no, Doritos is about to get the Bud Light treatment, unquote, 6.4 thousand likes, which is quite a few to say the least. Let's see here. A lot of people bring up Sound of Freedom, which is about ending child trafficking and why so many outlets apparently suppress that news. Joey Manarino says, quote, yeah, because Satan has won, not even trying to pretend anymore. Glad I don't eat shitty processed snacks anyway, unquote, getting 1.7 thousand likes. Old School Eddie says, quote, why are brands like Doritos being so self-destructive? Have they learned nothing from Budweiser snafu? Let me guess, their advertising division is headed by a DEI hire, unquote, getting 2.3 thousand likes. Scrolling down more and more. Chris Taylor brings up some of the brands owned by PepsiCo, Frito-Lay, which, yeah, this is by no means an expansive list. Perhaps we'll dive into that deeper tomorrow because, again, they have one of the largest portfolios of products in the food industry. So that's why I'm debating how effective could a boycott be unless people just overnight became health conscious and started to eat healthy things like raw carrots and other things like that. Now, PepsiCo has obviously Pepsi, Lay's, Gatorade, Tostitos, Quaker, Tropicana, Doritos, Mountain Dew, Cheetos, and dozens of other brands. Now, that small list by Chris Taylor got 477 likes, and he simply said, here you go. Scrolling down. Mahatma Gandhi parody says trans kids groomers get confronted in epic fashion by a reporter who's had enough, unquote, getting 1.1 thousand likes. Mindy Robinson says, quote, time to boycott Doritos for supporting pedophiles. They're unhealthy as shit anyway, unquote, getting 819 likes, which, yes, I can't fathom a single healthy ingredient in a bag of Doritos or most junk food. There's a reason they're called junk food. Americans used to kind of take that to heart, I think, perhaps more in the past. But, yeah, it's one of those instances where it's definitely a luxury, not a necessity. There's basically nothing you need in the salty snack aisle when you're shopping. I mean, truth be told, you just get some raw vegetables, get some, if you can afford it, maybe some organic produce, get some organic beef, heat it up. Maybe if you feel so inclined to add a little salt, maybe a little pepper. And there you go, you're set for the day. Believe it or not, I've done that a couple times throughout my life. And yes, I am single. Now, going down, you have Brando's saying absolutely delicious, and it's a couple fish, and one of the fish is named Bud Light, and the one fish says, only someone stupid would fall for that, and the little hook line of the fisherman says, men in dresses are good for sales. Then you have the Doritos bag come out of nowhere and go for the hook. I got 883 likes. That's quite a few. Jericho says, quote, they're trying to make pedophilia acceptable to the mainstream, and if Doritos wanted to be a part of it, they live with the consequences. I'm quoting 755 likes, which is quite concerning, the amount of mainstream support that topic has had, culturally speaking. I mean, Netflix famously had one, I think it's called Cuties, that glorified it. And quite concerning is, I would hope more Americans would be united in that, but not so much. Even one of the most popular handles on X Twitter is Gays Against Groomers, and obviously their name is perfect marketing. You know exactly what they stand for. And yet, even they are being boycotted by simply everything from social media platforms, but also marketing apparel companies. I forget the name of the specific branding company. I made sure it wasn't the company that I use for my for my swag and my, where I put my company logos on. But that particular marketing company said they no longer wanted to work with Gays Against Groomers, which I can't think of a single reason to want to stop working with them unless you supported the inverse. Again, they're the marketing company. Their name eludes me at the moment. I just know for sure it's not the one that I utilize. But that is quite concerning. Merrick Garland press office parody account says, who else is fed up? And this little, I forget what little placard you see in front of the bathroom, but it says, raise your hand if you're tired of this shit, getting 554 likes. Planet of Memes, which I don't want to say F- for marketing, but they responded in simple text and not, in fact, a meme. So we'll say this alleged Planet of Memes says, time for the Bud Light treatment, unquote, getting 505 likes. Washington Ghost says time for them to learn the Bud Light lesson, getting 236 likes. It actually brings up a good point. Let's bring up the Pepsi account, or the Pepsi stock ticker, like what it did this week. Not astronomical, but it did go down 2.65%, currently trading for $163.52 per share. And they do pay dividends, so they actually do give you an incentive to actually hold your Pepsi stock instead of selling it. Though again, I can't help but think, let me see here. There's also news that a PepsiCo competition ended in 5 tragic deaths this week, and they have posted lower revenue. So again, that Again, stock price is a multi-variables on what affects it, so you gotta always be careful when you talk about single variable analysis. But in this case, the stock did go down this week, but I mean, also a couple of the major headlines have to do with bad things that are other bad PR things that are not directly correlated to this specific event or this specific brand ambassador. So I'm not sure how much that can be contributed to that. Now, granted, this is going to be a long-term thing as more and more people find out about it, but that's what we see currently for the stock market. Lionhearted says evil is winning out. People who don't acknowledge that the left is taking Western culture down are complicit or stupid. Democrats, media, corporations are demolishing the ethical and moral purposely annihilating every social norm. Cooking 143 likes. American Archer says, quote, well, Doritos just signed their death certificate. Good luck coming back from this, getting 153 likes. Scrolling down more and more. There has to be some kind. Usually there's more contrarian statements. Let's see here. Although it'll be fascinating to see, again, who is going to support this individual when, again, the trans controversy is a big cultural controversy in the United States, but that I think it's maybe 60-40, 50-50 public support as it has kind of devolved into a political issue. But when it comes to the child issue, I want to say an overwhelming majority of adults or Americans would say it's not appropriate to have those types of beliefs around, I can't think of a polite way of saying sexualizing children, but I can't help but think, I hope that the amount of people who are that mentally, morally vacuous to believe that it is okay to have those types of actions take place are very, very, that the amount of people are very, very small in the United States. So, I mean, maybe this will unite the U.S. culturally speaking, though, granted, a lot of people say we've never been more divided than ever. Scrolling down, Libercrat Media TM, they say, period, pedos' lives don't matter, getting 388 likes. And interestingly enough, Luke Zaleski, one of our favorite leftists, now granted, we don't, not really favorite, I just follow him because I want some more contrarian statements, and I want, echo chambers get pretty boring pretty quick. Interestingly enough, he has not responded to this, and he's usually pretty quick on the money when it comes to these type of political things. Let's see here. But yeah, it seems as if they just shot themselves in the foot. And again, this is taking place in Spain. However, again, these marketing trends go all over. So another great famous example, which interestingly enough, we saw a little bit of a cultural pushback or a little bit of a boycott. You had Hershey's, which sponsored a trans ambassador in Canada, and they actually came out with these chocolate bars that said Hershey, and they highlighted the different words and did the funny play on words kind of thing. Now, in the United States, you had a brilliant marketing idea from the Daily Wire and Jeremy Boring, where they came out with their own chocolate bars, and they kind of leaned into the whole shtick, where they had their he, him bar had nuts in it, and the she, her does not have nuts. So they probably made a couple million just off that. But I say that it started in Canada with Hershey's, but in U.S. stores a couple months later, they did have those types of bars with that marketing material on it with the pronouns. And I believe some of them did have the trans ambassador on it. I'm trying to remember, because I actually did see it in a store. Granted, anecdotally speaking, I'm in a different country. Well, some might debate it's a different country, but it is technically the state of Texas. Or some people call it Texas. Just doesn't sound as cool calling it or pronouncing it the latter. But nevertheless, it'll be interesting to see if this changes consumer habits. Because again, over 65% of the things in the salty snack aisle are PepsiCo Frito-Lay products. So this is very different than Bud Light in the fact that Bud Light, yes, Anheuser-Busch InBev owned, have 40 plus brands, but they have big competitors, including Coors, Miller Lite, and there are a lot more options in the beer aisle where, again, the competition there is one bag away. Now, if you look at the layout, and it is a fascinating retail analytics and how they actually place all the things in the stores. It's very organized to be by the same company, which makes sense. You actually have not Walmart employees taking care of the shelves at Walmart for the salty snack products. You actually have PepsiCo Frito-Lay employees on site packing the products, making sure they're displayed properly, and more often than not, they are next to each other. And it would be interesting to see if, again, Americans have to first find out which brands are also owned by PepsiCo Frito-Lay, which, again, there are so many, that's going to be, maybe I'll make a whole video on that, but that's going to be some education and work they have to do on their hands. They have to educate themselves, which takes time and energy. Or if I want to boycott salty snack foods altogether, which would be actually would be quite beneficial for your health, then they need to change their lifestyle, which that is one of the most difficult things to do in terms of consumer preferences and adoptions, is changing those long-term habits. If you eat a bag of Doritos every single day, it's going to be quite difficult for you perhaps to actually change away to eating maybe a bag of carrots every day, which I don't want to say obviously, but yeah, obviously that'd be better for your life and your health long term. So let me know, what do you think is more likely? Do you think consumers will A, switch to a competitive brand, which there are a couple, but very little, or B, do you think consumers will actually shift their health preferences and eat different product categories altogether that are healthier for them? It'd be fascinating to hear, as usual, what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a thumbs up and thumbs down or a comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.